Enemies make or break a game. Normal enemies or fodder might not be as impressive as bosses, but they're the base that everything stands on. Some games do this right. For example, Enter the Gungeon, which does this amazingly. Every enemy has a different projectile type, and I mean, look at their designs. Look at him, he's so cute. And oh my god, is that a gun? And again, I know I love bringing this game up on my channel, but it's really good. Elden Ring. Normal enemies have the same grandiose dance that big enemies have, but if you're good, all it takes is a slice or two to finish them off. It follows the glass cannon principle, but this also applies to you. In Enter the Gungeon, you have a set amount of life. If anything even breathes on you, you will lose it. But enemies also die quickly. They aren't beefy and take 50 hits to kill, which suck, by the way. If your game does this, then I hate you for it. And don't worry, I'm gonna start talking about ultra kills soon, but I need to talk about one last example. Look at this guy. What does he make you feel? Fear? Stress? Maybe, flirtatiousness. Combine that with the devastating and brutal movements, and damn, this is really good design. Plus, the theming is on point. I mean, look at this thing. And here's another example. What I like to call Australian hand spiders, which are, one, horrifying, but also have a moveset much inclined to their actions. They pounce and they slam. They also, like, crawl across the floor on the maps, which is actually disgusting. But both these guys fit a theme. They're unique, memorable, they work well with their moveset, and they are also fun to fight against. Well, I mean, in theory. But like, how am I supposed to enjoy Elden Ring when this is what they do to me? And at the surface level, you might not think of Ultra Kill's enemies as some of the best. And I understand that, bro. Look at these guys. Now, one thing you should know is that every game I've mentioned so far makes your enemies fit in their gameplay. Enter the Gungeon has orbs and different bullet types made to give you as much variety and danger into the act of dodging them while shooting at them at the same time. In Elden Ring, it's built around the concept of a dance. A tense battle of dodge rolls and strong attacks before diving back and coming at them again. In Ultra Kill, it's for you to farm as much dopamine as possible. Well, that and being a canvas for you to paint your own ideas onto. Hi, my name is Mediocrity, and when I see a group of filth, I don't see enemies. I see a canvas for you to paint red. Now, let me quickly explain the filth. To be honest, not that impressive. A recreation of a League of Legends player injected with a little bit of bath salts. I should mention that you can parry them, which makes them at least a couple times cooler, but you can also do that with, I don't know, Minos Prime. I'll be flat, if you searched up fodder enemy, you'll probably come up with these guys because their only purpose is to feed your style meter as you shoot them. And to be honest, their design isn't too impressive either. They really just look like a Valorant player. So I'm gonna stop being negative and talk about something I really like about Ultra Kill. No, I'm gonna talk about the Stray before I get into the good stuff. Alright, again, we haven't even gotten into the big, beefy, sweaty muscle men yet, so we're gonna have to talk about these guys. Now, in terms of enemy design, he's pretty good. Why? Well, because of the simple mechanic of explosive critical hits and parries. Now, random crits are cool, yeah, but the feeling of shooting a ball of death out of someone's hand only for it to obliterate themselves and their friends is just a fun experience. Also, every single projectile they shoot, you can parry, which I think they should add into every other FPS game. I'm sure it won't combat theming at all. I just wish that there was an enemy that was, you know, more spicy and more fun and like hotter. The street cleaners have two specific features that makes them really, really fun. Firstly, their design. It makes it look like a battle droid who took up arson, and that's a good thing. And really, that's also what he is in practice. See, he rushes you down with a flamethrower in hand. These guys were introduced in the coolest way, revealing themselves by destroying everything in your path, only to jump you when you try to investigate further. They are conscious. And they are cool. They have the brain power to dodge your attacks, your rockets, your bullets, your shotgun punches, even whiplashes, which leads to funny stuff like this, and it's cool, but I mean, how are you supposed to attack them? Well, the reasons I've brought them up so early is because I want to talk about dynamic gameplay, reactive gameplay, if you will, an immersive sim. See, instead of shooting and shooting and shooting like in so many other games, this game decides to make you use a different weapon for most enemies in the game. However, unlike most games which make it something to do with elemental damage or to make it just a buff to a certain weapon type, this game does something like this. Here, let me show you. The best way to kill these guys, and honestly this is one of my favorite ways to kill an enemy in any game, is by throwing a coin behind them, shooting it, and popping their fuel tank. If that isn't creative and if that isn't cool, then I don't know what is. And finally, the last guy with a gun. enemy is the Soldier. The Soldier is a versatile class and has great mobility, damage, and health. He's one of the best classes in the... it's Pepsi Man. See, this guy chains 3 to 4 small shots together and has this bad habit of dodging projectiles and taking very little damage from explosions. So whenever you see this guy, I suggest popping the orb in their hands. It's kind of like cooking a grenade. He also kicks you, and that's kind of mean. Okay, now we're moving far away from the fodder units. See, all these enemies are dependent on your ability to kill them and make them bleed, and then consume their blood for health. This is how everything in the game functions. That is, until this little guy appears in your view. This man is a menace because he is out of control, and if his plague breaks loose, well, you're kind of screwed. Because if he gets his sand on anything, oops, you can't get any heals anymore, except for parrying, which is, I mean, take a look at this room. After he stands everything, what am I supposed to do? In my opinion, this is one of the most ingenious examples of a buff enemy, because instead of just having a medic that heals people or a mage that makes people stronger, the Stalker takes away one of the most fundamental aspects of this game and just chucks it out the window. This guy is also probably the best bench presser in the game. Like, look, even more than Sisyphus. The Ferryman is the last husk on this list that we're going to be talking about. These guys like 2 things: Gabriel and money. These guys appear a lot in endgame stuff, but that's because they're very, very cool. They have this unpredictable attack pattern where they chain unparryable and parryable attacks and lunge at you and being a massive thorn in your backside. These guys will chase you down as you attempt to kill other enemies. However, he's also really small, which makes landing hits on him very, very difficult. I mean, you could throw a coin on him. Like I said, he does like money, and when I say he likes money, I mean he really likes money. Speaking of Sisyphus, the Sisyphean insurrection is, well, it's really a mini boss, but like he's basically an enemy in the end game, so like I'm counting it. This guy does a lot of damage and he's very beatable. However, parrying him can be kind of hard because like any Elden Ring boss, he holds his hand up in a year for 5 hours and you keep psyching yourself out, run out of dashes, and then get pounded. Sure, in the middle of the Cyberine, he can feel just like a big meat shield because you don't really get the opportunity to read him out and figure out how to attack him and chain bullets together. But in the game and in P1 and P2, he's usually put into a reasonable scenario and he's very well designed. Look at that parry window. See, I think Sisyphus, apart from the Prime Souls, has the best parries in the game. The reason for this is because they're really fair. If you hit them, you are hugely rewarded. But if you miss one, well, I mean, there goes half your health bar. Look, we've all been there, waiting for him to come down, only to punch a second too early and being able to do nothing as you watch him slam you. Just like how you should slam that subscribe button. I cannot stress how much comments mean to me. Fun fact, on launch, this guy was so powerful, the next day he had to be nerfed. And check out this design. If this isn't asking you to study the lore, I don't know what will. An insurrectionist for Sisyphus, who just a couple levels later you see being nailed to the wall. What happened here? Why is his body built like that? And most importantly, why is he slamming me with a big rock? How does he get his body so... Okay, moving on. Now, to be honest, we haven't even gotten to the best stuff yet, but even with these selections, you can already see where I'm getting at. These are fodder enemies that are used to keep you healthy, to give you a steady stream of health and style. Projectile units that pester you from afar and punishing you for not knowing how to parry, and street cleaners making sure you're always on your toes, each providing a unique way for you to end them. Then there are insurrectionists and ferrymen, which add a focus to groups of enemies, each with very different movesets that provide a very deep challenge for endgame players, practically needing good multitasking and mastery of your arsenal to defeat. Comparing a ferryman to a Deathclaw is like, the ferryman is better. Look, what I'm getting at is because they're all put into groups of enemies, not just single one-on-one encounters, the fact that they're also different and the fact that you have to work through all of them at the same time makes your arsenal super useful and makes every fight unique and fun. But let's stop with this husk stuff, alright? Let's get to the true meaty stuff. The good, if you will. If you thought the husks were interesting, you haven't seen anything yet, because I haven't even gotten into the demons. The Malicious Face, Cerberus, and Hideous Mass, as well as the Idol. These 4 enemies are some of the most common forces in the entire game, needing to be constantly on your focus. However, if you underestimate them, they will punish you. They will punish that ignorance with a beam in the face or a shockwave to your your legs, or you just can't do anything. Please stop. The malicious face is a good enemy, make no mistake about that, but this guy has one of the best features in any game. He allows you to parry his beams, yes, either with your fists or with your coins. Sure, you can shoot them, dodge them and whatever, but that would make Ultra Kill just a worse doom. No, instead you uppercut the Rock's jaw and make him swallow his own supersonic beam back into his mouth, and damn, it is satisfying. But do you know what's more satisfying? Alright, every single person watching this video knows what I'm about to say. So I'm just gonna say, the chargeback. Alright, so I could go on this topic for hours, but I won't. All I'm gonna say is that Hikita, the madman, decided to make coins even better, because if you time things right and you're in that sweet time frame where it actually triggers, you're gonna have a good ass time. This mechanic is hard to master, especially in a non-controlled environment. I can barely even do it, but all that practice, I reckon it's all gonna be worth it. This mechanic is why I wanted to make this video to begin with, because it shows the amount of creativity and love that Hikita has put into his enemies. Like seriously, FPS enemies are always guys with guns. In Payday, it's a guy with a gun. In Fallout, it's a guy with a gun or a flesh bag of teeth, and so on. Every game seems to ignore these guys and makes them just carbon copies of each other with different health bars and rolls. In a sense, the reason Ultra Kill's enemies are so good is because the game actually cared to develop interesting enemies. But I mean, I'm always open to suggestions, so comment stuff down. I'm very, very prone to being wrong. Okay, moving on to the big man. This guy was introduced as a boss, and yeah, he's alright. See, he's kind of the same type of enemy as the Filth, because he's just not that unique. Like, sure, he's cool and all, but his design is just alright, and you can blow him up with high explosives and get along with your day. Like, you have bigger things to worry about, like taxes. This guy is basically a boss. I get that. But in the end game, he's everywhere, so whatever. I like to call him the IRS because he wants to kill me. One of the big keys to the uniqueness of Ultra Kill's enemies, especially in the FPS genre, is that they incentivize you to move, and he is no different. You have to go up, left, and right while there are 50 enemies shooting at you at the same time. Not only making sure that you're dodging them, but also shooting and killing them. If you don't move, you'll get stunned, and let me tell you, if you get stunned, the only thing you can really do is pray to God, because only God has the power to get you out of that situation, bro. I also think his design is pretty cool. Sure, it's no Bulletkin, but it's still pretty damn recognizable, and he looks really cool. It's an amalgamation, half statue, half thing. I also think putting the weakness as his little tail is amazing as well. I might be reading way too much into this, but this makes me think it's just another way of getting players to move and to motivate the map. Anyways, a good enemy. Demons are pretty cool. Oh, and then there's the idol. It doesn't move and gets one tapped, so I'm just gonna be moving past it. Yeah, no, it's nothing. It's not that deep. These guys, like the sand guys, are a support enemy, but they're generally less annoying unless we're talking about P2, since these guys can pocket mind flayers like they're vaccinator medics to a soldier and piss you off. But that's not the problem, right? In Cybergrind, you just need to shoot them. After all, it's one shot. And of course not. That would be mid-game design. Instead, Hikita decided you had to run into it and punch it. Now, some people might say this is intense cock riding, and to that I'd have to agree, but the simple act of making sure you had to run into the crowd and disbanding your positioning is genius. This is a risk you're taking, so you have the opportunity to kill something. And if that doesn't sound like Ultra Kill, I don't know what is. You have to get in there with your fists, and it's such a small but smart idea that it really does make a difference in a fight. You really have to wonder if it's a good time to go in, because if you don't, you might die. And so, oh, hey, are you a biblically accurate angel? If you've noticed one thing in my videos, please make it be movement. Every, and I mean every enemy punishes you for not moving, which is pretty common in FPS games. Yeah, but there are also FPS games where you're discouraged from moving, where your best bet is usually to cower and hide in a corner. Granted, most games don't have the best weapon in all of the genre, but whatever. See, virtues are powerful and a pain in the ass. If you don't get out of there, you'll die, which provides the game with a cool deterrent for just really getting like getting damn high. These guys are functionally the support, but it's pretty cool. Most games have these guys as well, and I won't talk too much about it, but they have this really cool ass design that I really like. It's holy, but it's cryptic. And also you can parry their core and just dump them into enemies, which is just like, I love Ultra Kill, man. And that's it. That's every single enemy in the game. Yeah, okay, I wish. To be honest, I wanted to say this before the start of the next sentence because I'm not too versed in games. However, I do find that in most productions now, enemies seem like an afterthought. Even in one of my favorite games, Payday 2, enemies aren't that great. Some games like Deep Rock Galactic do it right. It has the same creative spirit Ultra Kill has, with dynamic weak points and fun, unique enemies. Just about the cool, mind-blowing stuff that Ultra Kill seems to just be so addicted to. And that's the main argument of this video. The reason Ultra Kill has such bomb-ass enemies is because they take already active tropes and make them better. And that is seen best in the Sentry. Now, these guys are just really cool. Design-wise, they stuck a sniper onto a robot body, and that's cool. It also digs its legs into the dirt to get the perfect shot on you. Like, it's the small details. They're so cool. Take this room, for example. You can never stop to breathe because their projectiles are devastating. I remember when they were introduced, I got stomped by them because I had no idea how to counter them. However, these guys also bring a complete other layer of depth into this game. You have a couple ways of dealing with them, getting up close and personal and punching them with your knuckle puncher, or, and get this, actually shooting your pistol in Ultra Kill. Which is something I never do in any other situation. They also have this habit of kicking you, which is kind of rude. You can also disrupt it by shooting a damn cannonball at it, so yeah. Who's the boss now? Oh, and a lot of people also don't seem to know this, but you can also charge back their projectiles as well. It's actually pretty useful in the Sentry fight in P2. Oh my god, the script is so long. Okay, now moving on to the Swords Machine. Now these guys can be distinguished by the fact that they get killed in literally 2 parries. These guys were first introduced as bosses before Hakito realized, these guys are nothing, did a line of coke and put them into every level in the damn game. This is an exaggeration, of course, but these guys are really fun to fight against. He's an enemy with 2 phases, which is cool. Phase 1, his attacks include a sword swing combo, a shotgun blast, and a lunging swing. Phase 2 includes a blade throw, orbital swing, and both lunging and combo swings. And that's cool and all, but what I love so much about him is that he's basically a deterrent. He makes it so that you're limited in both up close and ranged combat with his shotgun and sword, so you're gonna need to target him. I also think his design is cool. I think every robot design is pretty nasty. He's brutalist and stands tall. He's intimidating, and that's a cool design for me. And also, I'm no artist or anything, but is it just me or does it look like he has paws on his hand? All right, here's the last robot on this list. We've been waiting for it the entire video, and we get it. Blah, blah, blah. It's the drone! Now, this guy is a hidden treasure because he's small and does a lot of damage with a little health bar, but he's also really fast. He's a true glass cannon that's hard to hit and a master of design. Yeah, okay, no, okay, let's get this over with. You know the eyeballs? You know the eyeballs from Terraria? That's all they are. Not much. I mean, you can parry its dead corpse into enemies, which is cool and all, but like, okay, look. I'm stalling because as a YouTuber, which you should subscribe to, I have an inability to talk to and about women. So I'm gonna let my friend quickly describe the Mind Flayer.
The Mind Flayer's design is one of the coolest I've seen. There's this massive mess of electronics on her head, and she's even got one of those like Slenderman tentacle things. It's pretty damn cool. As well as some armor on her legs, she's definitely one of the most recognizable enemies in the game. A supercomputer who's taken over the body of a human. Well, that's what it makes you want to think. Now, my friend there, you should definitely like, comment, and subscribe. He's also asked me to call the Mind Flayer Ohio Yacht Riz body.
Anyway, so the Mind Flayer is found in the level Lust, and she's probably the most powerful enemy in the game. Oh god, I wish I was V1. Fun fact, do you know that the internal files names her officially as the Mill? While normal Mind Flayers break your mind by magic and making you go insane, the Ultra Kill Mind Flayer is different. And I'll go back into Ultra Kill taking tropes and distorting them and making them cooler. But I'm not gonna do that for the Mind Flayers. Now, these guys are healthy, almost as healthy as the Hideous Mask, but unlike the Hideous Mask, they could 1, fly, 2, have a much smaller hitbox, and 3, teleport. They also have some of the most dangerous, highest damaging attacks in the entire game. When these guys are first introduced in Lust, they are sure to stump most new players. They shoot some insanely hard to parry projectiles, as well as have a wide variety of weapons they have in their arsenal. This includes a laser beam, slaps, and they also explode on death. They're so unique, and they are something very, very special and something very fun to fight. Dare I say the most unique and recognizable enemy in Ultra Kill? Now, all this love towards the Mind Flayer, it's all in theory, because in practice, you hate them. Have you ever played P2? You've been trying to beat this room for a dozen minutes, and these two pricks are just in the air messing with you the entire time. And when finally the idle breaks, you have to fight 2 of them at the same time, and they keep teleporting and you keep missing all your screwdrivers. Like, it's so annoying. And don't forget, they're dynamic towards your attacks as well. Screwdrivers, my beloved, make them stop being able to teleport, which makes them much easier to hit and give you a constant supply of health. So if you keep getting annoyed because they're teleporting all over the place, maybe you should finally use the green screwdriver. Look, the green screwdriver is good, alright? The green rail cannon's really good, I promise. Please try it, stop making fun of me. Though this all assumes that you can hit them with the screwdriver in the first place. Their explosions can also backfire on them with your explosions on the sharpshooter. Since her deadliest attack is when she creates a ring of blue projectiles that aim at you, if you're good enough and if you're fast enough, you can shoot them with your red boy and do a solid chunk of damage back. They also get enraged, which is always fun. And that's really everything. I'm sure I did miss a couple of enemies, but I want to quickly end off this discussion with a final analysis. The enemies in Ultra Kill rock because, well, yeah, they're unique. They work together really well and collaborate alongside your arsenal. You can kill them in so many different ways, and they always respond to it. While I don't think Ultra Kill has the best enemies ever made, I do think they have some of the best enemies ever made, especially for an FPS game, and it's, of course, not even contentious to say that Ultra Kill's enemies are a masterpiece. But hey, if you want to share one of your favorite gaming enemies that I didn't even talk about, you can always shoot them down in the comments. I'll read them, and I'll probably like them, and I might even heart them if they agree with me. That's a joke, by the way. Anyways, this recording was way longer than I expected it to be. Thank you so much for watching. This has been my longest video so far, and I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, alright. So, Deep Rock Galactic viewers, I promise you that the co-op video will be out in a couple days. Okay, bye-bye.